Right now, join us on the show, Dr. A.W.R. Hawkins from Big Government. How you doing, Dr. Hawkins?
Cam, doing great. Good to be with you.
Well, I'm glad you could come back and join us once again. Now, you write about a comment that Jesse Jackson made when he was up in Wisconsin. I suppose we have to take this with a grain of salt because this was pre-election. So, things could change since Governor Walker won the recall up there. But he was in Racine, and he said that June 16th, he wants to hold a march on gun stores, right?
That's exactly right. He said his chant was, June 16th we march, guns out, jobs in. So I think what he's saying is that through gun control, perhaps we could create some job opportunities.
Now, I was trying to work through this in my head earlier, and here's what I came up with. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so gun control creates jobs in the sense that when gun control proponents are pushing these really nutty ideas about restricting the freedom of law-abiding Americans to try to reduce criminal behavior, people react by buying more of the things that they believe are about to be banned, which in turn allows firearm manufacturers and ammunition manufacturers to increase their hiring because of the increased demand. So in that sense, perhaps gun control creates jobs. Do you think that's what Jesse Jackson meant?
That's not what he meant, but you and I know you're right. I think Ruger's stock has gone up. I'm not exaggerating. I think it's a 500% gain since Obama was elected, literally. But no, I think what Jesse meant is if we could get rid of guns, somehow that people would move into the inner cities. I think that is his argument, but you and I both know that that's not true. And we both know that the only jobs that be created by gun control would be the jobs of grave diggers, as law-abiding citizens being disarmed would be killed.
Well, and look, I think it's also, and this is not my specialty, but I'm sure if I spent a day or so doing some research, I would be able to provide many examples of cities that have revitalized their urban areas without engaging in gun control. If you're talking about economics here, if you're talking about a lack of jobs because I guess Jesse Jackson would say because of the high violent crime rate would prevent businesses from coming in and establishing these jobs. Well, I would note that there's plenty of evidence that you can reduce violent crime without imposing gun control. Because we look, Dr. Hawkins, we are at a 40-year low in this country right now in terms of our violent crime rate. Tell me the last a big gun control law that went on the books that has not been sunsetted.
Oh, I can't tell you one. I can't tell you how in any way how gun control contributed to what you pointed out, but I can tell you that when the reports come out that violent crime has dropped, the mainstream media never mentions the ever broadening fact that we have more castle doctrine laws on the books. We have more concealed carry laws on the books. They don't bother mentioning the fact that literally we live among a populace that is more armed each day than they were the day before. And that goes a long way in explaining why our violent crime has dropped, because finally the individual citizen, the free man, has the right and the ability to defend his own life.
Well, absolutely. We were talking earlier in the program with Kennedy from Reason, who had recently spent some time with Emily Miller of the Washington Times talking about the D.C. gun laws. And, look, here's another perfect example. You've got so much infighting on the D.C. Council as to why businesses aren't moving in, why neighborhoods aren't being revitalized. And the bottom line is, there's so much corruption. You've got another city council member who just just resigned this week because he's facing corruption charges or fraud charges, excuse me. You've got other individuals who are under investigation. To blame it on the gun laws, D.C. has every gun control law you could possibly legally have now in the United States. And it's not like that has made the neighborhoods of Washington, D.C. wonderful places to invest.
No, you're exactly right. Gun control does not make people safe. it just assures criminals that they're the only ones that have guns, and that's the fallacy we have to face. And we have to have the populace armed, and you know that, and I know that, and I believe that's what we see. When we see this violent crime rate drop, we know it's the result of an armed populace and nothing else.
You know, it's interesting, Dr. Hawkins. I'm curious if you've noticed this. You know, things haven't been going too well for Barack Obama lately.
No, I've noticed that.
And I think it's fair to say that among his base, there is a growing dissatisfaction among the really hardcore lefties that Barack Obama has not done enough. You think that's fair to say?
I think it's fair to say on guns and other issues, I agree.
Okay. So if there's this new thinking that, Obama might actually lose, he might not be around, could we be seeing the ramping up of the progressive pressure on Barack Obama to do something while he still has a chance?
Oh, no, I agree. I've thought about that. I wrote an article about what his second term would be like were he elected as a lame duck president.
Right.
But I have thought about this. If he loses in November, he has 2 months of lame duck presidency. What might he do in those 2 months to guns? I think it might be unbelievable. Now, that's not a reason to reelect him, of course. He needs to be defeated.
Well, yes.
But I wonder, what might he do in those 2 months? It's right along the lines of what you're talking about.
I wonder about this because, you bring up, you say it's one more publicity stunt, this, Jesse Jackson march on the gun stores. One more publicity stunt that a faltering President Obama doesn't need. And look, Jesse Jackson is politically savvy. Certainly, he knows the Democrat Party. And so I think he's well aware that this isn't really something that Barack Obama needs. I saw another article recently from a lefty, I can't remember who wrote it, but was talking about the violence in Chicago and said, why isn't President Obama doing anything about this? Why is he ignoring the violence in his own city? So I think we may see more of that coming from the hardcore left, trying to pressure Obama into, look, he's not going to get any legislation through Congress. You and I both know that. So anything that he would do would have to be through the regulatory mechanisms or executive orders.
And that's exactly right. Now, you and I both know, as scary as it is, that he would do something through executive orders. But I agree with you. I think there may be a lot of pressure placed on him. But a man like Jesse Jackson is much like a man like Bill Clinton. They are both looking out for Bill and Jesse first and foremost, and that's what we have to remember. It doesn't matter if the Democrat Party supports it or not. Even if it's further left than the Democrat Party, which is hard to imagine, they will both pursue it if it means personal glory. And that's why both of them may turn out to be a thorn in Barack Obama's side as this election gets closer.
I think you're right, especially if, again, there is the perception among the left that Barack Obama is a weakening figure. I think, look, we've spent the past 3 years watching the president throw people under the bus when it was inconvenient for them to be around. He may very well find that, within the Democrat power structure or the power vacuum, actually, that, there would be individuals who would be quick to throw him under the bus as well if we get towards the fall and it looks like, Mitt Romney is going to win election. You're right. I think President Obama's position within the party would be a lot weaker than it is now. Which, again, I think would lead to even more pressure being put on him to do something perhaps in that lame duck period if he loses election.
Oh, I agree. I think in all of this, and I know that this is what you're thinking, gun owners always have to be careful because I believe we're first on the chopping block. We are the group that Obama would sacrifice to prove to the left that he is far enough left, so to speak.
Right.
And I believe that's why we always need to be paying attention and we need to be ready. At the same time, I believe that he's in a place where the Scott Walker recall that didn't go well, I believe that has affected him, and he may not even need the motivation of a Jesse Jackson or a Bill Clinton. I believe he realizes that he's in jeopardy at this point. And I'm actually more worried about what he'll personally think of doing than what he'll be pressured into doing. And that's just me, but that's how I feel about things.
Right. Well, listen, Dr. Hawkins, I appreciate you coming on the program, sir. It's always great being able to catch up with you, and have a wonderful weekend.
And you too. Thank you, Cam. God bless.